Hello there and welcome to Plants vs. Germans. Today's video is all about turmeric and ginger. I'll show you how to grow those two plants, first indoors and then outdoors, and I'll be talking about why I start planting them right now, end of November, beginning of December. So let's get started. So first of all, what type of turmeric and what type of ginger should you use? What I have here is store-bought ginger and turmeric. What I would recommend is using organically grown ones because you can just be sure that there are less pesticides or up to no pesticides in them. So you'll grow some organic ginger and turmeric yourselves. When you buy a tuber like this at the store, you don't have to plant the whole tuber into a container, although you could. I would recommend cutting them into pieces. So a tuber has basically like little eyes on it, and out of each eye there is like a stem that can grow out of. So what I would do is cut the tuber in pieces, use a sharp kitchen knife. You could also break apart the ginger and the turmeric, but I wouldn't recommend that because I want to put the least amount of stress on the tuber and I want to harm it the least. So I would recommend cutting it apart. Chunks like this should be sufficient. I wouldn't cut it too little. So like this should be fine. Let's do the same thing with the turmeric. As you can see, the turmeric is a bit smaller, so I won't cut it into that many pieces, but you can also see the eyes popping out here and on the other side, so I'll just play it safe and cut it once here and maybe give it another cut here because it looks like this part here is not growing that well. I'll just plant it and see if it works out. Before we get to the next step, let's take a look at the difference. So first of all, the ginger, the skin of the ginger is a bit lighter and the skin of the turmeric is a bit darker, and as you can see, as soon as you cut it open, the turmeric is more orange and the ginger is more yellow. But they are closely related, so you can see the similarities. Both of them grow rhizomes, so they kind of act like a potato. So you plant in the whole tuber or parts of the tuber and a new plant will grow from there, and it will grow some rhizomes that you will be able to harvest in the next season. So let's plant those plants. To plant ginger and turmeric, you can use whatever container you feel like using. I would recommend using a rather shallow container because the roots don't go down that deep. But the one I have right here is fine too for this pot, but I would only recommend using one part of the tuber. So what you do now is you plant this part inside here, and you don't have to plant it that deep, and you have to be careful. Don't plant it upwards like this. Plant it sideways. This should be fine, like 1 to 2 centimeters deep. When you're done, just give it some water. Remember, always drain the excess water down below. So now that you potted your ginger or your turmeric, where should you put it? So let's talk about the plant a bit more. Both of them are tropical to subtropical plants, so they need constant warm weather or warm temperatures. So we have December now, beginning of December, and I started them right now because I'm just going to keep them indoors throughout the whole winter. The thing is, I have to keep them somewhere warm, so I'll put them on my windowsill over a heater, so that the part of the tuber doesn't dry out and stays warm all the time. You could also put some plastic wrapper over your pot. Be sure to poke holes in it, and if not, to lift it up every 2 to 3 days so the excess water that sticks to the surface goes away, or else the tuber will start rotting. I start both turmeric and ginger in end of November, beginning of December, because the plant takes about 10 months until you're able to harvest it. So if I plant it right now, I could harvest it the end of the season next year in September or October. This is the plan. So I recommend planting your ginger and your turmeric right now, keeping them inside over the winter, keeping it warm, and then you're probably able to harvest your first turmeric, your first ginger tubers end of next season in September or October. So, thanks for watching, and see you next time.